All right, good evening and welcome to the Buckland Select Board for Tuesday, September 10th. It is a little after 5:30. We're having some technical difficulties. Our A-team was able to work through it and get us on. So we'll move into our first agenda item this evening, the presidential election and early voting schedule. Early voting for the presidential election will occur October 26th through November 1st, 2024. October 26th is also last day to register to vote in time for the election. The town clerk's office will be open for both from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. is required. For the remainder of the early voting period, we are required to be open for early voting, with a default being all normal business hours. All towns with under 5,000 registered voters are able to reduce the hours to at least 25% of the normal business hours with select board vote at a public meeting held no later than 20 days before early voting begins. In-person early voting in the town clerk's office will be held as followed. Saturday, October 26th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday, October 29th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Wednesday, October 30th from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Thursday, October 31st from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. This will account for 50% of the normal business hours. I'm assuming that those hours are going to be posted on our website as well.
They will be, yes.
If you didn't catch it here, you can certainly catch it online. Do we need to vote for anything on that?
You do not.
We don't have to accept the schedule for early voting. I just noticed it here.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
You do.
I'll make a motion to accept the schedule for early voting for the 24 presidential primary election as presented by the town clerk.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The Opioid Connect Funds project request from the Shelburne Falls Fire District. Shelburne Falls Fire District Chief Herb Guyette is requesting the use of $1,200 from the Connect Opioid Grant Funds distributed to town in the recent weeks for the purchase of a tactical vest and helmet. 3 additional vests and helmets will be purchased using grant from MEMA's Emergency Preparedness Grant Program. The request is approximately 1/2 of the funds we received for 2024. What did we have? Because we committed some at our last meeting.
So there are 2 sources of funds. There's the funds that are coming in from the the pharmaceutical settlements, the Johnson & Johnson, and the other name is going to escape me. I'm sorry? Merck? Yeah, thank you. So there are 2 sources of funds. And then the other source is these Connect grant funds. The funds that you committed at your last meeting to CPHS were from the settlement fund.
Okay.
And that was approximately $400 a year. We anticipate about $1,300 a year coming in from the settlement funds, so we're well within budget there. The Connect funds that are being requested tonight, we actually just received our FY24. The credit advice is attached to your paperwork there in the amount of about $2,400, and those are also an annual credit. So spending the requested $1,200 towards the to supplement the emergency management preparedness grant, I think, is an appropriate use of the funds, and is only using approximately 1/2 of the funds that we have available in this fiscal year. So I don't have other requests that have come in to I guess, weigh it against. But again, we are still looking at another $1,200 that would be available to us in FY25.
Okay.
So, in other words, I think it would be a nice way to show that we're using the funds and that we're not just letting them accrue in our account either.
Right.
And it can be used for this.
Yep, yes, it can,
Okay,
yep,
then,
yep.
That was my
Yeah.
only question.
I did talk to the police chief today that, he's looking at other funding sources that would supplement it, but we might come in with a request to use the other half of these funds for the, electronic speed signs. We've been getting a lot of requests
Wow.
to the Public Safety Committee, for the use of, for more of those signs. So that might be a request
think
you get
that's
in the
a good
next couple, yeah,
idea.
yeah. As our roads get better, people are driving faster.
They are. They are.
Yeah, I was actually just talking with the sergeant about that this morning. So.
Yeah.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve the request from Chief Guyette to expand up to $1,200 from the town's 24 opioid connect fund appropriation.
Second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Short-term rental bylaw registration overview and update. The town clerk is working with planning and zoning representatives as well as the FERCog health and building inspection departments to classify the applications received from short-term rental owners. As they do, questions have arisen and they are working with town council to get clarification. The board wishes to remind anyone with a pre-existing short-term rental property to fill out the application before the 26th of this month in order to be considered grandfathered, as defined by the bylaws adopted at the 24 annual town meeting. There will not be any opportunity for the town to waive that deadline, as it is established by Chapter 40A of the Mass General Laws. Applications can be found online or by contacting the town clerk's office.
I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that that date, when we had our town meeting in May and we sent out the letters, that, that 6-month mark seemed like it was way down the road, and
Yeah.
now it's just a couple of weeks away, so we don't want anyone to miss out.
Hello.
Okay. I'm sorry, we have an appointment here for 5:32. So now we'll move on to our first appointment with West County Senior Services District Board of Managers. We have a representative here tonight from the Board of Managers to present the draft transition plan and provide an update on their work.
So I assume that you can hear me okay if I sit here? Or
I can move the microphone so that it's closer to you, Jan, if you...
I can move my body.
Okay, you can move your body.
Well,
We want to accommodate.
Thank you. So, the Board of Managers has been meeting monthly to get a transition plan in place as the act requires to establish the district. And Sylvia Smith, after one of our last meetings, drafted a very detailed transition plan. We tweaked it a little at the last meeting, but the upshot is that we're working on the details of making sure employees have insurance, they have retirement coverage, payroll, the fiscal agent that would handle payroll and everything else that goes along with that. And so what we decided was that we would like to have the transition from the Board of Managers be effective for the start of next fiscal year, which means that the consortium would dissolve at the end of June 30th or whatever, and the Board of Managers would become effective July 1st. And so this transition plan lays out what we're looking to do between now and then. And part of what we need to be able to do is issue RFPs and things for things like fiscal agents. So what we're going to need the select boards to do is take their votes sometime, hopefully soon, to say that they approve this transition plan that would put this transition in place effective July 30th. And then that would give us I guess, the legal standing we would need to actually issue the RFPs and things. So Shelburne has already looked at this and thought it looked fine, and Ashfield has already looked at this and thought it looked fine. We're not, on the fourth row down, it says we're going to provide a revised plan if needed at a joint select board meeting. We thought at the last meeting, after hearing that Shelburne and Ashfield had no issues, that we probably don't need to try to call that, which I'm sure you're all disappointed by, but. So we would just move ahead if the Buckland Select Board has no request for any kind of revision or feedback that needs to see a revised plan, then the next step would be that our chair, Sylvia Smith, would email proposed motion language to accept this plan that would basically establish, affect this transition at the end of the fiscal year.
I think my only question that I would have on all of this is end of June going to be enough time for you guys?
Yes, we're quite confident of that. We almost have the bylaws completely revised. So we worked off the old consortium bylaws, and Sylvia put in here that we would finalize them sometime in February. But in fact, we pretty much have our first draft. We've been marking them up in our group meetings. Joe Shea from Hampshire Insurance Group came by Zoom to our last meeting, and the process for working with them, as soon as we have something from the select boards that says we can issue letters, we could start that process with them, and he foresees that's going to be pretty simple because it's just the same employees who are covered now, but it'll just be covered under a different entity. So their board has to approve it, but their board meets monthly.
Right.
And he thinks it's going to be, I can't think of the word right now, sorry. I was washing windows all day. And then so retirement, Bob Dean, he's been super helpful in his role as FERCog's municipal person. They've given him some time to help us out, and he's worked with the retirement people. And apparently, no matter how we do this, there'll be a slight gap in retirement for the 2 or 3 employees who get it. It's a pretty small staff. But they get it back. There's no way, and I can't remember the details of that, but there's no way to avoid a little bit of a gap. I think what we would do is request it at like 7 a.m. July 1st to get it going as fast as we can. But I think they have to be employees of the district or something, and then there'll be a little gap, and then they can get retroactively put on, or something like that. And then the fiscal agent, we don't, hopefully people respond to the RFPs, but that's the only major thing. And then, Julie Moreno's great. A lot of things will just carry on as they have been with the board of directors. So we feel quite confident. Sylvia's been a wonderful, wonderful leader. She keeps us going. Asks the right questions, asks for the right volunteers, so.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Can't fail with Sylvia and Bob. It's a good combo.
Oh, I know, right?
here.
And I have to say, everybody, it's
Yeah,
a real
all of them, I'm
wonderful
sure, but I
group,
just saw their names down here several times.
Yeah.
I smile, so.
Todd Alanik is filling in for the Council on Aging, so of course we have the select board experience, and then Amy
Yeah.
Shapiro from Ashfield teaches business at MCLA North Adams, so she comes in with a business brain.
That's
And
wonderful.
Christine Baronis has been awesome with the bylaws, and Regina Purrington has all her administrative experience, so it's a really nice cross-section of people.
Good.
So now, when I got the request from Sylvia to have something done, I didn't realize that there was a vote, but if the board is
got it.
comfortable, great, thank you.
Yeah, and I think actually tonight, I don't know that you need to take a vote so much as did you want more information from us before you would feel you could take a vote, and then Sylvia will send an email with proposed motion language for another meeting, probably the next possible meeting she can get on, but so there might not need to be a vote on this one per se, if you don't have any feedback or want any changes.
I think, you guys have a good group set up, and you're certainly moving along. I think the last thing we want to do is hold it up
Great.
for you as well. So I would make a motion to accept the 24 transition plan for the West County Senior Services.
And I'll second that.
Thank you.
All right, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Super. So I'll email Sylvia tomorrow and copy you, Heather, just to let her know that
Yep.
you're all on board and we appreciate it.
Yeah, and then if there's anything that needs to be signed by us, just let us know and we can.
Yeah, there might be at some point, but I know
Yeah,
you'll
just
have.
have her get it to us by,
Yeah.
one of our next meetings or something. And
I think it's more that you have to take a formal vote
Mhm.
at the next meeting that would both activate this and
Mhm.
dissolve the consortium as of those dates,
Right.
something like that.
Well, I don't think we can't dissolve the consortium until June, right?
Right, and so the motion would be about, to agree to this plan that
Mm-hmm.
dissolves the consortium. Yeah, it just so that there's something official in your minutes or whatever that we can have to move forward.
Okay. Well, you just let us know what it is you need
Very
from us,
good.
and we're here to support you.
Thank you very
Tell
much.
Sylvie and everybody, thank you for all the work they're doing. So.
I will,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Next up.
Well, we have a few more minutes before 6 o'clock, so we'll double back to that here in a few minutes. Gone to our contract and grant documents. We've got the fiscal 22-23 CDBG amendment for Avery Road. As we continue to progress to a green light to begin work on Avery Road, we have fine-tuned our scope of work. Thank you, Heather. Which include conditions from the Conservation Commission and Mass DEP's Endangered Species Division. And our budget has changed since the public hearing that we held a couple of weeks ago. The town will ask the Office of Housing and Livable Communities for an additional $25,000 to meet those additional expenses. This extra funding is available through the remaining funds of the Depot Street project. So I will make a motion to move to request the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities to amend Buckland's fiscal year 22-23 Community Development Block Grant to increase the funds committed to Avery Road emergency repair costs by $25,000 by transferring surplus funds from the Depot Street Freight Yard parking lot project to Avery Road. The funds will be broken down as followed. $15,123 increase in funds for contractor construction contracts and $9,877 for contingency. I also move to authorize the chair to sign all paperwork associated with the amendment request.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll further move to authorize the town administrator to sign quotes as follows. Dick Hillman, $55,000, J.S. Ray, $119,380, and Allstate Asphalt for $181,993. You're the only one that can second tonight.
Was that a motion again?
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize. Second. I missed Joan.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The fiscal year 22-23 CDBG amendment for Breezeway Farm. In accordance with the discussion during the public hearing on August 27th, the town will amend its contract with Breezeway Farm for grant administration activity related to the reprogramming of funds for Avery Road. I'll make a motion to move to amend Buckland's contract with Breezeway Farm Consulting, Inc. for fiscal year 22-23 CDBG management services to include the Avery Road project, to increase the fee for services by $10,000 and to authorize the chair to sign the amendment.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're pretty close. Do you guys have everybody here that's coming?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move into our 6 o'clock public hearing for liquor license classification for Amsani DBA Shelburne Falls Neighbors. Good evening.
Just want to read the public hearing notes.
The town, I was making sure I had the right
Okay,
one.
all right.
I'm a slow reader, Heather. Okay, you gotta give me a minute.
Sorry.
The town of Buckland will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 at 6 p.m. to hear the application for change of license classification for an annual all alcohol retail package store license from Amsani Inc., DBA Shelburne Falls Neighbors, located at 115 State Street, Shelburne Falls, Mass. Said hearing is called in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 138S, 15, and will be held at the Buckland Town Hall, located at 17 State Street. All right. Are you mocking me?
I'm not,
Oh.
I'm not. I just was acknowledging that we originally had the incorrect street number and Pam, and I was just, I was making sure Pam knew that I had corrected it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
all good.
All right.
Teamwork.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce myself. Or?
Yes, please, because she'll need names for.
Sure. My name is Attorney Stephen Nary, and that's Narey.
Narey.
Yep. And
Stephen with a B or a PH?
PH. Yep. And I'm from Donovan O'Connor and Dodick Law Firm in North Adams, and I represent Sony Inc. And I have with me here today Amin Merchant, who you may be familiar with, and Vic or Vivek Sharma, who you also may be familiar with. And they've been running the store for a number of years. And it looks like at one point in history, they changed their license changed to a malted wine, and we're trying to get it back to a full alcohol license.
So did it change or has it always been a malt?
I don't
wine?
know that no one knows the answer to that.
So, the history is that, and we did,
Do some research.
yeah. We did the homework. When they applied for the original license, and Pam might remember the year off the top of her head, but when they applied, the box for wine and malt was checked, whether that was the intention or not. That was the box that was checked, and so the board of selectmen back in that time period did approve it as a wine and malt, and it was renewed each year after that as a wine and malt by the ABCC as well. Unfortunately, that didn't translate to what was actually happening for sales, and nobody was the wiser for a number of years. It was brought to our attention, and we did look into it and pulled out all the files, and so here we are to correct that on their behalf.
Okay.
Actually, I think I have it.
All right. So I'm assuming everything, on the day that this was brought up, everything got pulled off the shelves and you guys went into immediate compliance.
Yes, sir.
I guess I would say the only issue that I see is that it looks like you guys have a hearing coming up on October 1st for, it looks like selling to a minor. So you have something coming up with the ABCC on that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I
I was
mean,
an employee.
He's a 15-year-old employee,
right,
and he admitted he did it. I don't know how he did it.
right.
He shouldn't be selling alcohol at all.
No, he's 15-year long.
50, he's
He worked
working
there.
for us 15
Oh,
years.
he's been
Yeah.
working.
Yeah, not 15
I'm
years.
sorry.
And he,
That's a language
he
barrier.
he never made a mistake like this.
Yeah,
It's like, and he's very sorry, and at this point, we can't even, do anything with him. It's, he's just like,
He passed so many sting operation month after month, year after year. Never made a mistake so far.
That's what you have to do, is look at the history.
Yeah.
right.
He couldn't.
Mistakes are a
Yeah, he
human
couldn't
trait.
realize how he did that. He's shocked by himself, like
Uh-huh.
how this happened to me. Maybe came to buy must be looking really older or something, and
I
Have
worked
you,
there many years ago when I was teaching her a part-time job, and some nights it was, fast and furious people buying things, but you gotta be on your toes, and
yes,
you know,
correct.
I didn't have one slip by me, thank goodness, but I mean, I understand, I can
Yeah.
understand.
back when they had the hitching post out front?
The hitching post up front, yeah.
We did upgrade our register system with, every transaction you have to put date of birth also.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
yes.
So I don't know how that happened. Because he has to put all the how many, 8 digits, 2 for month, 2 for the date, and 4 for the years.
I laugh when I go to places, they even, I'm 76 years old.
Yeah, so he must be putting his date of birth, just
Yeah,
bypass and keep rolling people,
Yeah.
That could be a reason.
And you stand by this employee, you stand by him.
Yes.
Okay.
For now, yeah.
When,
Very few people working nowadays, just
Oh, I
sorry.
know, yeah.
It's a different thing, but he's been here with us last 15 years.
Yeah,
We
okay.
need to, he's very, very sorry about it. He almost crying the other day, I don't want to lose the job. Technically, we're supposed to fire him, but, so many years he passed so many stinks, whenever the tobacco and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's very aware about that. He has kids here, his family here, in the town. He's a part of community. He's live in Charlemont, I think.
Yeah.
He works for our boat stores. So we'll try to manage him well, a little bit more extra care.
yeah. Have you guys, been the subject of this in the past too?
I think for cigarette, 4 or 5 years back.
4 or 5 years ago was your last one?
Yes,
Okay.
4 or 5 years.
Okay.
I don't know here or in Charlemont. I
Mhm.
don't know where it happened, but there was street food. It's very rare. We train them very well.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, we are part of the community, and we want kids not to be part of this and stuff like this.
Right.
We care about that.
No, I understand that. I know how long you guys have been
Yes.
here in town.
Yes, and-
You've been here for a long time.
Right.
And, we'd hate to see that change.
Yeah.
I guess my only concern would be, if we went through and issued this tonight, and then the ABCC turns around and says, you're gonna lose it altogether, where does that kind of put us as a town supporting something along these lines?
Can I speak?
Yep.
I don't think that for one violation, in a number of years, because the cigarette violations is a
Right.
separate
Yep.
thing. My experience is that for the first violation like that, where it's a one-time employee who's been trained and they've been retrained and they have a system in place where you have to enter the birth date and year. My experience says that they will not get shut down. They might get, if the town supports this, they might get delayed for a little bit till after the hearing on October 1st, but, unfortunately this happened
Right.
during this period.
Yeah. No, it's kind of bad timing. I think, me personally, I think we would be in a better position to address this after the ABCC or after you guys' hearing, since we're only looking at a couple more weeks for it, to see what see what the outcome of that would be, before we were to move forward with granting the transfer on this. Obviously, you've probably gone through many of these, and are pretty confident at, what the outcome is going to be. I think from the town standpoint, I think we should table this until after this hearing, and then bring it back to the board, because I think, what do we meet? What's our first meeting in October?
The 8th.
The 8th. So we'd be looking at, you know, we could certainly put this back on the agenda for the 8th, and,
My only
you know.
concern, my only concern is that, when it's a minor violation like this, the ABCC doesn't rush out with their decisions.
right.
So we might not have an answer by the 8th. It's usually a warning
Mm-hmm.
with the request for retraining or something along those lines.
Yep.
So normally I would say that would be fine, but when it's a rare violation like this, it could take a couple months
Mm-hmm.
for the ABCC to actually type out what the result is, because it's not a.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
I think, as far as I remember, this kind of violation happens after so many years, they give you a warning, first time warning,
Right.
or maybe a small fine,
Mm-hmm.
and things goes as smoothly as possible.
Right.
But if it happens quite often, then the fine and penalties increase, like suspension of license for 1 week and so on.
But do they, so I know you guys own multiple stores.
Correct.
So will the ABCC only look at this one store when they're reviewing this? Or will they do a broader look over all of your stores?
Just this one.
Just this store?
Plus the personal names. They
Mhm.
they check the Cody and stuff.
Yeah.
Whoever is involved in the corporation or they check them. But we have licenses everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
All the places have beer wine. I do have a liquor store too in Adams.
Right.
A vast variety. I know
Mhm.
that.
So the thing is that all the entities are different,
Mm-hmm.
all the corporations are different, so everything is treated different.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I kind of, you stole mine, my thought was just fine, I was just concerned
I
that,
think these two are two different, going to two different directions. One is, restating the, licenses, and other is something else, so.
well,
Should be, I don't think so, should be any issue, but it's up to you guys. If we approve right now.
I don't wanna hold you guys up a long time if the state's gonna be, but I would like to wait till after your meeting with them on the 1st of October, and maybe you can get word of mouth or something, just to, so you're not stuck for 2 months after that. That's,
I mean, I think on the other side of it too is, even if they, if we were to support this
yeah.
tonight, come October 1st, if, there's more that we're not privy to, when they're gonna revoke their license, they're gonna revoke it anyways. So even whether we support it or not, that's ultimately gonna come down to the ABCC for final judgment anyways.
Okay.
So I think even
So
with us,
if we, yeah, because the license was a mistake, that's the whole point.
Right.
It appears to have been a mistake, that was overlooked by everyone.
Everyone means like everyone.
Yeah, we
Top
don't,
to bottom, like.
I'm not the alcohol police, but I do walk in here and haven't thought about it yet.
We were in shock. We
Yeah.
were being just like shocked. And
So that's kind of true what the chair said, that if we did change the license tonight, I mean, come the 1st of October or where that comes out, that they're revoking your license, they're gonna revoke it then anyways, and so,
yeah, whether we support this
whether
or
you
not,
support it or not, yeah.
so,
I don't have a
I mean,
problem.
that's kind of
Makes a
my
lot of
thought
sense.
behind it,
Makes a
so,
lot of sense. I just need to hear this,
Process it.
process it, yeah.
alright, yeah, so I think with that being said, I'd, make a motion to approve the request, from Amsani, DBA Shelburne Falls Neighbors, to change the status of their existing liquor license from wine and malt off premise to all alcohol off premises.
And I'll second that, sure.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Probably need to close the public hearing too. Okay.
He's
Good Lord, he's as bad as you are.
he's a slow reader.
That's right.
I was gonna say, she's gonna tell you in a minute.
I know. All right.
And just to clarify this, I have to tomorrow send this in to the ABCC and
Yeah.
wait for them to
Yeah.
send.
Yes, we know that, so we know that until the ABCC sends back the license to the
And
town.
it does take some time.
It
Yeah.
does take some time. Yeah.
But I appreciate that, you're hearing all the, thank you for that too, just sort of
Yeah.
puts it all in perspective that,
In other words, we can't expect the sales to resume tomorrow.
No.
Yes.
As much as some of us might enjoy that, it's just, tomorrow is not the day.
Correct.
Pam will let us know.
You'll hear from the town hall.
Yes.
Okay.
Most likely you'll hear from Pam. She'll
They
reach out.
usually also email us too.
Oh, do they? Good,
Lately,
Good.
they've been emailing the lawyer so that we know.
good. That's great.
Okay.
All right.
Helpful.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Yeah, that'd be
Should've
good.
done that to start.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great
Good
night.
luck.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
All right.
I think that was good, but yeah, it's just, I just need to hear a lot more about it, and that was it,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. We have permits and licenses. We have the West County Arts and Culture for Moonlight Magic. The annual request from the West County Arts and Culture Organization to host a Moonlight Magic event on November 29th, 2024. The permit includes a request to close the Iron Bridge an hour earlier than usual at 2 p.m. to allow for safe setup of vendors. The permit has been reviewed by the police department and approved with the condition that 2 detail officers are retained. The cost of the detail officers would be at the expense of the event coordinators, not the town.
I delineated that for the record. As you know, the Buckland Summer Day event on the Buckland Common, the chief had asked for a detail, but unfortunately that was not recognized by the organizers on that permit. So they weren't anticipating the $400 charge from the sheriff's department for the detail. So the town is working with them to try to split that cost, because we do recognize that if we weren't calling it out during the approval process, that it's partially our responsibility to make sure that they're aware of the chief's preferences for detail. So this way we'll try to establish a habit of making sure that we call it out with each event.
And the chief was all set for closing the bridge an hour earlier, and having
Right.
detail there.
I think a lot of that actually came from the Shelburne Police Department
Yeah.
themselves. I guess the hour setup time was not enough for the vendors, and it was becoming sort of a dangerous situation.
Cars still going through.
Yeah, that by the time the detail officer arrived to shut the road, vendors were already in mid setup. So this just makes it a little safer
Yeah.
for everybody.
When the permit is returned to the applicant, should I be highlighting that for them or drawing their attention to what, there's a cost noted on that? I know you're, that they may hear and they may not watch the meeting. Should I be doing that as an extra thing?
If you're asking me, I don't think it would hurt to the more information that we can give, the better. But we are returning the applications to them as completed, and the summer day had never had a detail before, so that was a new. So they just simply weren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
And where we didn't call it out specifically, so we learned. We'll do
Is this
better.
also something we should probably be looking at getting approval from the fire chief as well?
So the part of the process for the bridge closing, which is the second part of your motion, which would be to authorize me to work with Mass DOT's portal for the bridge closure. Mass DOT requires a public safety plan that is created in collaboration with the fire department, the police department, and our highway department. And each individual has to sign off on that, and it's all electronic. So certainly the Shelburne Falls Fire Department and the highway department will be looped into the plan as part of the DOT process.
All right.
There has to be an alternative route, as you probably well know.
Right. Yeah, we're not reinventing the wheel here.
No, but
It's been going on for a little while,
Yeah.
so.
But I think it's a good idea that DOT requires us to take a fresh look at the paperwork every year.
Yeah. Make a motion to approve the permit for Moonlight Magic on November 29th with a bridge closure request from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. and further to authorize the town administrator to complete the permitting with Mass DOT and other entities to close the Iron Bridge to vehicle traffic as approved.
Second that.
Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have Mary keeping up on tabs here. We've got our minutes for August 27th. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 27th as written.
Second that.
Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we have our vendor and payroll warrants for 2507. I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable and payroll warrants dated September 10th for the period ending September 6th.
Second that.
Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Items not reasonably anticipated by chair. I don't have anything. Select board member concerns?
Nope.
Town administrator's reports.
I have a few items. Sorry in advance. Tomorrow evening, the public hearing for the discontinuance of Old Upper will be held by the planning board. That will be here at Town Hall starting at 7 p.m. As you recall, a resident of Old Upper has come before the select board and has asked for consideration to discontinue Old Upper as a public way. We have been through the survey process, and town council is satisfied with the current rendition of the survey, which now allows the planning board to move forward with their process. Pending their recommendation, the select board would take this back up again for your reconsideration whether or not to move forward with the town meeting. Knowing that I don't have anything specific for a special town meeting, and I'm not aware if the select board has any items that you would like to address at a special town meeting. I have not heard of anything from anybody, so I have encouraged the applicant, the resident of Old Upper, that has started this process, to start gathering her signatures. For 200 signatures, she would be able to then present that petition to you, and you have 45 days to call a special town meeting to take that issue up. Sometimes this just sounds so much more fluid in my head than when it comes out of my mouth. Does that make sense?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
But then again, you're in my head too.
Well, it just, there's so many words. So the special town meeting process is typically something that you would call as a select board, but absent of a necessity for a special town meeting, the only other way is for the applicant to proceed with the petition hearing.
Okay, and they do this petition hearing, and then we have a special
Town meeting, yeah.
town meeting,
Yeah.
and nobody shows up.
Well,
I'm just saying
yeah,
it's
well,
a one item
we,
thing. And I
we
like-
have a very low quorum count. I
Okay.
believe it's 7. I believe it's 7.
Oh, I don't mean
people.
that bad, I just.
Yeah,
was
no,
wondering
no,
if-
no.
if-
We're optimistic that
We'll
we'd
have
be
that.
able to
We'll have
at least be able to get 7 people to come in. But I do want you to know that we're also working with town council, who is drafting letters for the other occupants of Old Upper. Because they will be essentially waiving their right to frontage. And there are a number of other deed references that we've done some research and found old licenses with AT&T and other entities that we want to make sure that anything that is still current with the Registry of Deeds that we're getting basically a waiver from, so that the town is not liable for damages should we move forward with this discontinuance. So we're working with council on that to try to button that up. So if there's no need that you're aware of for a special town meeting, I will let the applicant know that she should continue with her signature quest. I guess on the other side, it also gives us 45 days. If anything does come up that we need a special town meeting for, we know we have one coming.
Right.
The Buckland Recreation Community Pool has closed for the season. It just so happens that Pam is here. We could put her on the hot seat. She has once again taken all of the administration tasks for the pool passes and the one-day passes and the expenses and the doing the turnovers for the revenues. It is all above and beyond any of her current job descriptions, and I just can't thank her enough for taking that on. Huh?
Do I have a current job?
You don't. But I'm just ignoring. Yeah.
Before we jump into her though, what time's tomorrow night's meeting? It didn't have time down here.
Oh, 7 p.m.
7 p.m. is our
Yeah.
meeting for the
The
planning board.
planning board meeting starts at 6:30, but the public hearing for the discontinuance starts at 7.
Okay.
So back to how great Pam
Sorry
is.
about that.
No, no. No, it has been a tremendous amount of work. The pool is being drained because we continue to have punch list items for the contractor, and we are working as a team towards resolving those. I really give our team a lot of credit for keeping very good records and keeping track of the issues as they come up, so we have a very strong position when it comes to making sure that they're remedied appropriately. It was a large investment, not only on the behalf of the town, but a lot of residents also invested their donation money towards it as well. So we just want to make sure that we're doing right by everybody. And we have Pam and Cindy and Dan who are making sure that that happens. And thank you everybody for a great season. I heard so much positive feedback about the pool and how much everybody's enjoying it. So
Much more than last year.
And every time I drove by, the place was packed.
It was.
yeah, mobbed.
Last year it was rain and rain and rain. We had rain this year, but the pool was open a lot, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm sure Cindy will have a full report of the revenues. once
Yeah.
She's back from a much deserved vacation.
Yeah. So we also I mentioned the wood bank. The DCR crew is stopping their splitting and sorting and delivery service this week, but they capped it off at 23 cords of wood were delivered to Buckland residents, and I think that's just fantastic. The highway department, as they have an opportunity, may be able to do a little bit more, and I'd like to have one more community split day in October. I've had a number of people that were recipients of the wood say that if there was another day, they'd love to come and participate. So we'll try to get one more day in. And in the meantime, if you did not get wood delivered, but you still would like some, please contact me so I can keep your name on the list. And there is the bin at the highway facility at 2 Sears Street that we are keeping full of wood. You can come by at any time and take a trunk full. We ask that you limit it to about a trunk full, just so there's enough there for everybody, but that's there. We'll try to keep that full right through the end of the winter. Speaking of winter, we've started the site work for the clearing of the salt and sand shed at 2 Sears Street. That is going to be ramping up. I don't have a start date for Iron Horse, but I'll report back on that. We just signed contracts with FERCog, who does our procurement for our sand and salt. Prices for treated salt have come down by $3 a ton, which isn't a lot, but when you think about how many tons we use, it adds up. So that's great news. We also signed our contracts for our winter diesel. Exciting news, Buckland and Shelburne have been targeted for a short independent film to be produced and filmed here in town. It's called Two Roads. My understanding is it's a bit of a scarier movie, not quite as and no, Dexter wasn't yeah. But anyhow, we have met with the producer and has sort of started establishing a rapport. You'll have a film permit that will come in front of you with the liability insurance and all of the other formalities. But they're also they're going to be using the Shelburne Falls in a Nutshell Facebook page because they are looking for extras that meet a certain
Scary? Oh, I'm all-
yeah, right. But they have an older model car that they have in mind, and they want to focus on local art. There's a role for that in the film. So pay attention to the Shelburne Falls in a Nutshell page because I understand they will be reaching out to residents through there. They don't have quite the budget that we've seen, so they're looking for some in-kind local participation. My favorite topic, let's talk bids. Elm Street, the culvert repair on Elm Street passed the Conservation Commission's notice of intent process last night. Has been issued its order of conditions, and I have done an addendum to the possible bidders so they can include that information. Those bids are due on the 12th. I've reached out, there were a number of residents from Elm Street that attended the meeting last night, and we recommitted that we will have a neighborhood meeting, whether we do it at the location, at the site, or if we do it here at Town Hall. I guess we can talk about that, but we want to make sure we're getting that scheduled as soon as possible, because that is moving ahead full speed. North Street, the drainage diversion project that we've talked to that is just in front of 52 North Street, those bids are due on the 19th, and Conservation Commission also signed off on that order of conditions last night. We've already talked about Avery Road, but I can just share that that Concom did not sign off on that notice of intent last night and gave me a list of follow-ups, which we are addressing, and we will meet again with Conservation on the 18th of this month, and then hopefully that will be our last hurdle and we can start moving forward with that. I think that's all I have, unless anybody, Charlemont Road, I know that it's been sort of the Wild West up there with traffic controls. We were able to get a detail up there today. This time of year, details I think are very hard to come by. So I appreciate everybody's patience while that project is got underway to a bit of a rough start, but hopefully we're under control now. And there's a binder coat going on that also on the 19th of September, which means that at that point, the traffic congestion should really ease up quite a bit. So, and I believe binder is going on North Street on the 16th, on Monday the 16th, I believe. Yeah. So we're making progress.
Oh, yeah.
What did you say for a timeline on 52 North? Did you?
We're opening bids for that project on the 19th.
Oh, okay, opening bid.
And just last, unless there's questions, I am going to be out of the office starting the 16th, and I will be back October 1st. In the meantime, I know that the staff here will take care of anything and everything that comes along, and but if there's and the board will support this. Yeah.
They'll have all these things settled.
Well, I have a pretty good project list for them, but
I wanted to bring it upstairs.
I did. I gotta look though. Anyways, so I will be out of the office, but and I'll put out of office on the email and the phone, and otherwise, it's in Pam, Alicia, and Kara's capable hands.
I agree.
We'll see.
Do we have any update on Conway Street?
Yes, they are anticipating being done with the sidewalk at the end of September. That is, I've been down there and look. They are making progress. I'm optimistic that they can stick to that.
Alright. Well, that's usually the biggest question that.
I know. That's been.
Right here.
I know. When residents involved in other projects in other areas of town come in, I invite them to
Look out the window.
to swap places with anybody that's been on Conway.
As soon as those speed signs gets here, you make sure you get one of those up on Roundhouse Road and
Yeah.
Gina going to work in the morning. Jesus, it's dangerous trying to.
I know. The Public Safety Committee is meeting tomorrow also. I'm sorry?
10:30 a.m.
At 10:30 in the morning, and the speed limit implementation and how to better address that is I think their only agenda item. So that's
Well, they can put speed, but we got to have somebody either up there watching them. To be nice to have a little detail now and then or something, but because they are flying, especially in the morning, and I don't blame them. I understand, but leave 5 minutes early from your house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but it's also not a 5-minute detour either. It's
Oh no, it's not. Truthfully, yeah.
2 or 3 minute detour.
Yep.
Okay.
depending on how fast you're
I
going.
was just gonna say, Clint must be one of those.
I don't go that way.
The problem is, as Dina says, all kidding aside, is that as he comes onto that before you go where factories used to be right on that corner, they're cutting that corner. They're on that side of the
Right.
road if you're coming up.
I don't think it's so much speed. It looks like people are going a lot faster when they're coming around that corner
Exactly, that's what it is.
than they actually
That's what
are.
Dina says, that's the
Because you
story.
can't go fast around that corner.
No. But they just seem to cut it. I don't know if it's a natural thing to want to or
Yeah.
what, but.
All right. Public comment?
I wasn't going to even be here. So, this is a work in progress. Heather's trying to help me out. I got a copy of the Comcast Falls cable contract. And there was a clause in there that they didn't want the outside people to be disturbing them. So that puts more pressure on Heather. But in any case, the work in progress is that Comcast or Falls Cable will ultimately actually stream these live as I'm speaking right now, and it will end up in my living room before the snow falls. So I'll keep after that, hoping I don't have to come down here.
She didn't get in touch with you in time today.
I beg
She
pardon?
didn't get in touch with you in time today.
Oh,
Slow start because of a problem.
Well, So actually, Lynn and I had talked earlier in the afternoon,
Coming anyways.
and we reached out to Falls Cable and received confirmation that. So what's been happening is that you all will go live at 5:30, but there's a scheduled program at 6 that has been preempting your live broadcast. So at 6, that new program, you go off the air and the new program starts. And Falls Cable wasn't aware that was happening. And that's what Lynn has been pointing out to us for the last couple of meetings, is that it starts off all fine, but then you receive that new program. So we did speak with Otis at Falls Cable, and he said that everything was all set, and that he had removed that from the schedule entirely so it wouldn't happen. So Lynn was prepared. Did you you probably, okay, good. I was worried. Yeah, you knew it was a possibility. So we really did think we had this worked out today, but
I think you do, Evan, it just was
we had technical difficulties.
Then we were a little bit late getting started tonight because we had some other difficulties.
But she said we weren't live, so yeah. But that's okay. We will continue to work on it.
We'll get there. We'll get there, Lynn.
She won't let us not.
Okay, I've been a nag for 79 years.
Why stop now?
Just correct.
That's right. Any other public comment? No? All right. Announcements. We have September 11th. We have Planning Board, the public hearing for the discontinuance of Old Upper Street at 7 p.m. September 24th, we have our Select Board meeting at 5:30. October 8th is our first October meeting for the Select Board. And we also received today from Cheryl Stanton, who is the superintendent at Mohawk, reached out to discuss the request for a joint meeting with the town of Shelburne for the purpose of hearing the progress of the 2D 8T sustainability study for Mohawk Trail and Hallmont. The date of either October 7th, which would be Shelburne's regular select board meeting night, or October 8th, which would be Buckland's regular meeting night. Throwing out those two nights for options. They were hoping to only be able to do a joint meeting, just so they'd only have to present once for both towns. But I know they were also looking at getting both towns' finance committees on board and everything else. So I'm not sure what our finance committee, what their schedule is. Don't they usually meet on Monday nights though?
They do. Their first meeting is scheduled for October 7th.
Yeah. So they would already be meeting on the 7th for their regular meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like that the October 7th won't work because they're already committed. So I would say, we can certainly offer up the October 8th. And, we can certainly set it up for Zoom for other people that might want to come in.
Okay.
If Shelburne would like to join, or, normally either night wouldn't matter for me. But because our finance committee's already meeting that night, then I would like to, I know a couple of them had quite a bit of interest in this study. So I know at least 2 or 3 of them are going to want to be present for that. So I would say October 8th would be the best night for the town of Buckland to be able to commit to.
I will pass that along. Thank you.
All right.
Before you adjourn, when we mentioned that tomorrow is September 11th, which is Patriots' Day, it reminded me that I wanted to let you know that I've lowered the flag a little prematurely Normally, that responsibility or that would be done by Les Chadwick. And as the community is probably better aware than I am, he has passed away, and not just for the duty that he felt to the community to make sure that our flags were always at the right right space, but just his involvement in the town as a whole. I know he'll be missed, and I just ask that residents go easy as we adjust to being responsible for our own flag lowering and raising, and we will do it, and we will do right by the community, but it's going to take a little while to figure out how to replace him.
Put it in the hands of the highway department.
Well, I think facilities, yes, for sure. But anyways, that reminded me that I did want to acknowledge that Les did a great job for every holiday. Every time that flag had to be lowered, he was on top of it.
Counting all the gratings and putting
Yeah, yeah,
whatever else.
yeah,
So definitely.
Yeah,
It's invaluable.
yeah.
He will be
very much.
greatly missed, and, on behalf of the select board, I would like to offer my condolences to the family as well.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? No? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, and have a good night.